We already got it. We already got it. Bring this over here like that. There we go. All right. Hopefully when people get in here, they can see that. All right. All right. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We are about to get started with this evening's reading. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're just getting started. Hey, Dan. Welcome in. We're about to get started with today's esoteric book reading, Angel Magic. We started it last Monday. We're going to pick back up where we left off. We'll let a couple more people get in here. We'll let some people get in here. And then we will get started. Also, let me share this out to my Discord. This over here. Oops. All right. Put it out there on the Discord. All right, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's doing well. We are about to get started with this evening's reading. Welcome in. Hey, Wild Horse, what's up? Welcome in. Bakul. Bikaul. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Welcome. We're about to get started. We are going to be continuing with Angel Magic. Geoffrey James's Angel Magic. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to work with the angelic court, the celestial hierarchy, we're reading a really good text on that topic. So welcome in. Welcome in. All right. Let me know if you guys can read the screen. Let me know if you can read the screen, if it's clear. I tried to center it so that way it's easier to read. Hey, Issa, what's up? Welcome, welcome. You're just in time. We are about to get started. We're about to get started with Angel Magic, right? We stopped right here last week on page 13. This is 13, right? Yeah, 13. What is Angel Magic? So we're going to go ahead and pick up right here. Welcome in, everybody. We are reading Geoffrey, or Geoffrey, since it's spelled with a G, Geoffrey James's Angel Magic. All right. What is angel magic? So in dreams, visions, and angelic possessions, the role of the human is basically a passive one. The angels come and go as they please, dispensing wisdom and assistance seemingly at their own pleasure. Angel magic, on the other hand, is an ancient art that allows humans to initiate contact with angels whenever it seems necessary or prudent through rituals, prayers, and practices that summon angels to earth. While belief in angel magic is compatible with religious beliefs, the purpose of angel magic is quite different from the purpose of religious prayer. Sir James George Fraser, definitely British, in the landmark anthropology text The Golden Bough, makes this distinction quite clear. The nature of religion is worship. It's passive. The prayers that are offered to God are humble requests. Angel magic is something different altogether. Angel magic implies control. Angel magic as we know it today is based largely on a number of manuscripts that were copied and recopied in the medieval and Renaissance periods. These manuscripts, known as grimoires, contained complex rituals believed to have the power to summon angels. Because angel magic ran contrary to the teaching of the church, only a few of these angel magic grimoires were published prior to this century. Figure 1 shows the title page of the first known grimoire ever published, a book of angel magic dated 1565. We know that that's not true. Plenty of grimoires were published prior to that. But anyway, no publisher was named because publishing angel magic rituals was dangerous to all concerned. See the suggested reading at the back of this book for a list of grimoires published within the past 30 years. And then, of course, here is Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy, which we have read through the entirety of live, like we're doing now. And it's available on my YouTube if you're interested in that. It took us over a year, I think even over a year and a half, to read through all that. So we should be very familiar with 3 books. You can kind of see it back there if I move my head. An angel magus is a person who practices angel magic. I don't know anyone that would use that terminology, angel magus. That's sort of ridiculous, but whatever. An angel magus is very different from a priest who is by necessity tied to the theological notion that some angels are good and others are evil. The angel magus tends to categorize angels as useful and not useful. This is why so many of the grimoires, even those that have been highly Christianized, include methods for summoning devils as well as angels. I don't know if I would agree with that, based on the scholarship that we have about the history of a lot of these demons. I don't know if I would agree with that, but I can see why someone who how do I want to say this? Someone who lightly studies grimoire tradition, right? They're at the surface of grimoire tradition, and swimming in the shallow end. How they might think that, but the deeper and deeper you go, you'll find out that that is most likely not the case. But anyway, the angel magus is more interested in controlling angels, which is also not true, and obtaining a particular outcome than in the ethical stance of the angel involved. Unless they're talking about like evil or fallen angels, which would then be demons or chthonic spirits. That's a little different, but angels in particular, right? The benevolent version or aspect or whatever of angels are never. I don't recall any grimoire espousing the control of angels, especially since 99% of grimoires are written from an Abrahamic perspective, in which angels would be agents of the deity that you're calling on in order to obtain divine authority over these spirits. Then it doesn't make sense for the angel, the magician, to be able then to control that being. Grimoires and rituals can't give you power. Awareness is the real magic. No summoning, no deities needed. Awareness. So would you be able to use your awareness right now and tell me the mystery of the 8th, 9th, and 10th? Since no ritual is needed, I'll give you some time. I'll give you a few minutes. Go into your awareness. Go and meditate or do whatever you need for awareness. And then let me know the mystery of the 8th, 9th, and 10th. What that means. You're going to try to Google it. You're not going to find it on Google, so good luck with that. But let me know what the mystery of the 8th, 9th, and 10th would be, since all you need is awareness. So Jesus Christ is the way, people. Well, thank you very much for letting us know that. Thank you. Um, all right. According to the grimoires, different angels have different characteristics, powers, and abilities. Grimoires usually contain exhaustive lists of angelic names, each corresponding to one of the planets, the constellations, the four elements, various parts of the world, and even the hours of the day. By using these lists, the angel magus, that term is so ridiculous. I don't know why they use that term, can choose with great precision the type and quality of the angel to be contacted. I would prefer him to use the word spirit. It seems like he's trying to use angel in like an all-encompassing, like both positive angels, that are, that one would traditionally think of when thinking of angels, and the fallen or the or demons, devils, whatever he used. It seems like he wants to join them all together. I don't like that. But anyway, just stopping by, loving your content in this conversation. Good stuff. Immediate follow. Thank you very much, Southern Invocation Store. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the positive words, and thank you for stopping by. All right. Above this mass of lesser angels are the mighty angels of legend. In the Western tradition, the more powerful angels are Michael, Uriel, and Gabriel. These names of the angels are very old, harkening back to early Hebraic religion. The term El, in which all three names terminate, was an ancient Hebrew name for God, and the Elohim were believed to be his chief servants. That's not necessarily true. According to tradition, it takes a very powerful magician to control such entities. Even Dr. John Dee, arguably the greatest angel magus of all time, I think that is highly contentious, tended to be uneasy in their presence. So this paragraph has a lot, and a lot of this information is either partially correct or not correct. For example, Elohim being the chief servants, that is not correct. But so where it says Michael, Uriel, and Gabriel are the most powerful, why isn't Raphael added in there? And if I recall correctly, Gabriel, if I think back to the Chronicles of Jeremiah, Gabriel wasn't even present when God needed angelic help to kick out Jambres and Dontavius. I don't know, some other guy, Jan and Jambres or something like that. I don't know, but two magicians, according to the Chronicles of Jeremiah, which is an extra biblical text, so not a canon. It's part of the Gnostic, books. It's not part of the accepted canon for the Protestants, the Orthodox, or the Catholics, or the Anglicans. And it talks about how there were these two Egyptian magicians who who used magic to get into heaven, and they like broke into heaven, and it caused a panic. And God would, rather than just snapping his fingers, and because he's God, he got all upset and called Michael, Uriel, and Raphael. I don't think Gabriel was present, to remove these two magicians from heaven, and they were not able to do it. Right? They tried to fight and all this other stuff, and the magicians were wearing talismans. Right? They were wearing amulets and talismans that prevented the angels from getting too close, from doing anything to them, from having any influence over them, and so they weren't successful. Right? And then so God called Metatron, which I think this is where the legend of Metatron being like the strongest angel and the most powerful angel comes from, because he was the only angel that was able to get the two magicians out of heaven. But it wasn't because of force. There was no brute force. According to the Chronicles of Jeremiah, which is where the story's from. Anybody wants to go and read that, it's again the Chronicles of Jeremiah. According to the text, Metatron basically used like subterfuge and like linguistics and all that. Like, he basically talked them down. Didn't try to fight them. He was like, look, he did the good cop thing. Like, look, guys, this is all just a misunderstanding. Why don't we put our amulets down, right? Put our weapons down. Let's put the magic wands down, guys. And let's, why don't you guys come in here, have some heavenly tea, right? We'll throw on, a rerun of, I don't know, Attila the Hun doing nonsense. And we will converse and discuss this like angel to human. And the guys believed it and took off their amulets. And, that's when Metatron struck and he was able to kick them out of heaven. And, God showed him all kinds of favor and blah, blah, blah. Hence, we get a lot of people now who think that he's the most powerful and all this other stuff. He's just a secretary, guys. And I don't mean just as in they're not important or anything like that. I'm not trying to be mean to the secretaries. He's the heavenly bookkeeper. He's the secretary. He's not like a war angel, he's not a fighter. He's not like into any of that. He's sitting at a desk and making sure that the books are organized nicely. And he takes the calls and directs them to the correct department. And if mail comes, and he has to sign for a package, right? He's the guy. When the electrician or the plumber shows up, they talk to Metatron first before they can get to the heavenly bathrooms and all that. Fix the heavenly internet. The IT guys come around. They got to talk to Metatron first before they can get the heavenly Wi-Fi going. So yeah. So where is Raphael? He should be in here. Where's Raphael? This is true, right? The L, which means of God, right? So Mikael, I think is like strength of God or like fire of God or something. And Gabriel and Raphael, healing of God or mercy of God, right? The L on the N, the L suffix is of God, right? Each of these names was an attribute or an aspect of God, which in the occult, the angels aren't really looked at in that way, other than the Shem angels. The Shem angels are looked at as aspects and different arms of like God, but angels in general are not, even though their names reflect that. And then John D being an angel magus, y'all know why I don't agree with that, right? Y'all know how I feel about the Enochian entities, which is what most people call them. They don't even call them angels. They call them entities. And I believe it's because no one really knows what they are. He was working with some angels, right? I believe he talked to Uriel, and he talked to Aniel, and he talked to a couple other actual angels. But some of those other beings, I don't know who that is. Those names aren't Hebrew or Greek or Chaldean. Some of those names don't even have vowels. So how the hell you even pronounce that bullcrap? Like, some of them angels are not angels, is what I'm going to say. Some of those angels are not angels. Or some of those beings are not angels. So that's what I would say. So what does Elohim mean? Elohim just means like gods, plural, or deities, plural, like a heavenly court. It's not one God and his servants. It's an equal gathering of gods, if you will. But there is also the singular. So just like the word, moose is both singular and plural. The Elohim can also be both singular and plural. So there are times in the Bible when it is referring to one deity, God. And then there are times when God is, referring to a heavenly host. So yeah. All right. The two basic principles of angel magic come from two sources: the folk beliefs of many cultures and the Hebrew Kabbalah. That's not true at all. Kabbalah is new. Compared to angel magic, Kabbalah is new. This is so the author of this book seems to be taking a shallow swim in grimoire tradition. He's in the kiddie pool. He's into the grimoires, but he's in the kiddie pool, right? This is stuff that if you go back to when I was on evocationmagic.com and posting around there, this is the stuff that I would have believed back then, back in my early 20s, back when I was first just getting involved in grimoire tradition and looking for guidance and direction and, you know, how things are. I would have believed a lot of this stuff. You do actual study and research and you dive deep into these things, you find that Kabbalah is not ancient at all. It's quite recent, like last few hundred years recent. It's quite recent. And so therefore angel magic couldn't have come from that, especially because if the angels predate the Hebrew belief system, they come to us, at least the four main ones, right? Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, they come to us from Chaldean lore where they were worshipped as like demigods, right? They weren't quite gods, but they weren't human. And I mean, I'm not a master of Chaldean mythology or whatever, but as far as I'm aware, they didn't really have like angels as we would have them. And so demigod, I guess, is the closest thing that I could compare it to. Thanks for clearing that up. You're welcome. You're welcome. What's up, 7337? 100. That's right. All right. The first principle of angel magic is the belief that humans can control angels through the use of magical weapons. This belief is found nearly everywhere in the world. Now, weapons, you guys know me. Nuance is very key, right? Because weapons makes it sound very Goetic, right? Very sword of the art, very conjuration of the fire, very the first curse and the second curse and the exorcism and the greater exorcism, right? All these things that we find in the Goetia. Very little in the way of weapons is used when evoking or working with angels. You're mostly going to be working with prayer, invocation, the angel's sigil or their seals, right? Maybe a pentacle of Solomon or something like that. But that's really about it. Some holy water, some incense, but that's it. It's mostly going to be purity, right? You'll have to go through a purification. Since the grimoire that you're going to be getting it from is most likely going to be Christianized, if dealing with angels, you're probably going to have to go through some sort of confession. And then you may have to have items blessed, or if you have holy water, you can bless them yourself. And prayer. That's pretty much it when it comes to angel magic. Magic circle, table of practice, all of that will depend on the grimoire that you're getting it from. Some don't even have that, like the Arbitel. It has the sigils and the seals, but that's it. The rest of it is just piety and prayer and waking up at 5 a.m. So, but let's continue. For example, at the southern tip of South America, the Patagonians used to try to dispel the demon of smallpox by slashing the air with weapons and throwing water about in order to keep off the dreadful pursuer. Well, I'm not familiar with the Patagonians, but from a general occult perspective, that sounds a lot like tracing magical symbols like the pentagrams and stuff like that in the air. So it's not just waving the, like this just says slashing the air with their weapons, right? So this just makes it seem like it's just a bunch of just nonsense, just, flailing, swords around and throwing water haphazardly about. Um, Again, I'm not familiar with the Patagonians, but just knowing magic in general, this sounds a lot like they were probably tracing magical symbols, sigils, pentacles, whatever they use down there in the air, right? And then we're probably throwing some sort of blessed water, holy water, whatever, in order to exorcise or get rid of what they thought was a demon or a spirit or something like that. At the northern tip of North America, the Eskimos have their young women and girls drive the spirit out of every house with their knives, stabbing viciously under the bunks and deer skins, calling upon the demons to be gone. Interesting. I've never heard of that. Among the heathen Wotyaks, a Finnish people of eastern Russia. I wonder what the Finnish accents. I've never heard Finnish. Never heard what that sounds like. All the young girls of the village assemble on the last day of the year, armed with sticks, the end of which are split in 9 places. With these they beat every corner of the house and yard, saying, "We are driving Satan out of the village." Interesting. In Australia, the Aborigines drive away devils by beating the ground with the stuffed tail of a kangaroo. I'm sure there's a lot more to each of all of these than just that. Instead, oh wait, I think I skipped something. Oh yeah. The second principle of angel magic is the belief that certain words, especially the names of God, have the power to constrain angels to obey the will of the angel Magus. This principle is based upon the Hebrew Kabbalah, which says that the name of an object is inextricably linked with that object. To know the true name of something is to be able to control it completely. This belief was so strong that the Jews refused to speak or write the name of God, Yod-He, Vav-He. And that is true. But the part where it comes from Kabbalah is not true. And we also know that while the names of God have power, it's not the names that constrain the angels. It's the names that allow us to call upon that deity to instill within us divine authority. And it is that authority that allows us to then have sway over the angels. Not just the names of God. Divine authority is required. Right? A form of temporary apostolic succession, if you will. Right? You now have spiritual authority over the beings that are in that system and can command them as if, it was God speaking. Instead, they mask this holy name behind a complicated set of symbols and substitutions. The real name of God was supposed to consist of 72 letters. That's the Shem Hem Farash. And be so powerful that the world would be destroyed if anybody actually pronounced it. According to the angel Magi, a human correctly armed with a sacred weapon and sacred words can control the most powerful angels in heaven, in hell, or on earth. There is, however, more to angel magic than this. At least he said that. Angel magic is a set of formal rituals that contains 5 basic steps. And this is laid out very Jake Stratton Kent, even though this book came out first. This is laid out very Jake Stratton Kent style. Number 1, or step 1, consecration. The magus builds a temple, or a sacred space, in which to practice the magical ceremony. In most cases, this consists of a magic circle marked with holy names and or objects as shown in figure 2. Did we see figure 2? Is this figure 2? Yeah, here we go. This says it's from a Renaissance grimoire. This looks like Wellas? That's Emmanuel. What did I say? Bidib? This looks like it's something out of the 6th and 7th books of Moses. Number 8. Hold on, let me see. I gotta wait till I get to the end of the book. That looks like something out of the 6 and 7 books of Moses. Actually, if you guys don't mind, let's check something. Magic Circles in the Grimoire Tradition by William Kiesel. That looks like something out of the 6 and 7 books of Moses. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. Here we go. It looks like this. Like this one right here. The one, oh, you can't see my mouse. The one on the right. Let me, can I zoom in on this? The one on the right. Looks very much like that one. Interesting. Yeah, it looks very much like that one. But, all right. Invocation is step 2. The magus offers a prayer to the highest level of the Godhead, in effect raising his or her consciousness. This is where you're calling on divine authority, right? Where you're doing the invocation, or as an example, let me, so in reading from a grimoire, right? I'm going to read a conjuration of one of the demons so you can see the attainment or the start of the attainment. Come on, where does it? Where does it start? Oh, here we go. Okay. So, something along the lines of like, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, take heed, come all spirits, by the virtue and power of your King, by the 7 crowns and chains of your kings, all spirits of hell are compelled to appear before me. I command you by the virtue and power of He who is 3, equal and eternal, God and consubstantial, in a word, and who has created the heavens, the sea, and all that which is under the heavens, blah, 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 right? You would keep going on all the attributes and all the good things about God and all of that in order to compel God to bestow upon you divine authority. That would be part of step 2, or the invocation. In this case, conjuration. The magus uses a combination of divine names, magical weaponry, which I guess just means magical items, and offerings of incense to cause the angel to appear. Number 4 is conversation. Once the angel has appeared, the magus describes and records what the angel does and says. But you can also ask questions. Like, this just makes it seem like you call the angel, you watch it do a little dance, and you write that down, and then the angel just goes away. Like, okay? There's actual back and forth experience. Then dismissal. The angel magus dismisses the angel from the area or sets it to perform a certain task. But even if you set it to perform a certain task, you dismiss it. You don't just go, all right, you're going to do the job, okay, bye. And then you just get up and walk away. You have to formally end the ritual, which the dismissal or the license to depart is given. Have you read the Gateway Experience? Yes, I have read the Gateway Experience a long time ago. But yes, I have read the Gateway Experience. Yes, I have. All right. These 5 elements are found in nearly all of the grimoires. The ceremonies, well, I would say it's in a different format than that, but that's fine. The ceremonies are often complex, containing exhaustive instructions, requirements, and preconditions. all of which are said to be essential to successful completion of the work. And there's that circle again. In addition to the 5 basic steps of angel magic, there are 5 major elements that appear in almost all the grimoires. These are the lowest common denominator of angel magic ceremonies, and we will look at each of them in detail. Page 525 is out. Page 25 is out now. Nice. Do you know the Crossroads Man? I'm not sure. Like, I've met spirits at the Crossroads. I've met Crossroads spirits. But like the Crossroads Man or the Black Man or, anybody else that's at the Crossroads. I've not met any specific spirit, although there is a spirit that I do believe to be I believe it to be an aspect of Astereth, based on its nature and its interaction with me. Was very similar to my interaction with Astereth from many, many, many years ago. But there was this cow-headed, tassel-wearing spirit that appeared at a Crossroads one time. But other than that, I'm not sure what you mean by Crossroads Man. I think he's referring to Papa Legba. Oh, no, I'm not permitted to work with Papa Legba. I'm not part of any ATR or ADR, so I'm not permitted to work with Papa Legba. So, no, I've not. All right. Incantations. What book is this? This is Angel Magic by Geoffrey James. Angel Magic. All right. Incantations. These are specialized prayers that use the power of angelic names to summon the angels themselves. The purpose of the incantation is to associate the minds of the participants with the divine energy of the angel being summoned. That's very Giovanni Pico della Mirandola. That's very much what he taught, right? Pico was very much into if you contemplate like a certain angelic choir or a certain angelic sphere, if you contemplate them, after enough contemplation, you will raise your consciousness, your energy levels, whatever, to equal that of that angel. And you could go up the ranks, up the ranks, up the ranks, up the ranks until you essentially reach God, right? And then you can remerge with God. So a contemplative, meditative aspect of ascending through the spheres, or walking the tree, or climbing the ladder, or ascending the stairs, whatever visualization you want to use for that. That's very reminiscent of that. I will say that's not part of traditional angel magic. The names that the use of an angel name is simply to get its attention, to let the spirit know that you're calling on it. The power is not in the angel's name. The power is in the names of God, right? The being that gives governance over this angel and gives you permission to contact this angel. That's where the power is found. The power is not found in the name of the angel itself, at least not to call it, right? Because you have no authority to call the angel. You're a human, right? You are less than, at least in the creation scale. In the favorability scale, depending on what Christian you talk to, that might be flip-flopped. But in the creatability scale, we are less than. We have no authority to contact them. Hence, we need to achieve divine authority through the use of the God names. But anyway, the angel magus chants a series of divine names that compel the angel to appear. This is part of the Kabbalah, which maintains that words and the things they represent are one and the same. Under this logic, a holy name or a name of God or angel borrows the power of that God or angel. This concept is not limited to Kabbalah. It is reflected in the New Testament, which begins with the statement, "In the beginning was the Word." It is also reflected in the Quran by stating, "And Allah taught Adam all the names, then showed them to the angel, saying, 'Inform me of the names of these, if ye are truthful.' The angel said, 'Be glorified. We have no knowledge except that which thou hast taught us.' And when Adam had informed the angels of their names, he said, 'Did I not tell you that I know the secret of the heavens and the earth? And I know that which ye disclose and which ye hide.'" Interesting. I'm not familiar with the Quran in any way, shape, or form, so I can't really comment on that, but that's very interesting. And number 2 are the weapons. I don't like that word, but magical weapons compel angels to obey the magus who wields them. This is intended to be useful for fallen angels. Okay, so for fallen angels, that is true. But for angels, it is not true. The well-armed angel magus has 2 primary weapons: the staff and the sword, or the knife. All right, I guess I agree with that. And here's one of the ritual knives. I think this is from the Goetia and the Key of Solomon. Number 3, scrying. A scryer is a person who can hear and see angels in a crystal stone, a black mirror, or any spirit. It's not just angels. Black mirror, or the fires of a flame, or the swirling smoke of heavy incense. The term scryer has the same root as the nearly obsolete verb to descry, which means to see clearly. A scryer is not the same as a medium. A medium in a channeling trance believes that he or she is actually possessed by the spirit, which then speaks through the medium's mouth. Thank you. We weren't aware of where those sounds were coming from. The scryer remains aloof from the experience, seeing and hearing angels as if they were on display. That is true. That is not to say that angel magi don't use mediums. According to some sources, it's actually easier to get angels to manifest inside a human medium than it is to make the angels appear inside of a crystal. I've never heard that, but I do. There are certain magicians that prefer to use a medium or whatever in order to view the spirit and speak with the spirit, and then the other person just does the magic, right? They're the ones doing the summoning, and then there's someone who sees and speaks with. So anointing oil? What do you mean anointing oil? The mind equals will. The Karbala, unless you walk yourself, pirate? I'm not sure what that means. CA. I started Ordo Paste Draconis, a path to self-deification via Pastafarianism. That's insane. Well, I hope you the angels of the Parmesan and the beings of the Prajut and the gods of the Gabagool and the demons of the reggaeton all bless thee. I hope you are blessed by the sacred pantry. So, however, Rahman. However, there appear to be certain dangers inherent in mediumship, almost as if the human were insufficient to contain the powers of the angels that the magus summons. I don't know what any of that is. This is especially true if the angel magus is working alone and must act as his or her own scryer, which is most common, actually. It would be a disaster from the viewpoint of the magus if the angel actually entered and controlled the magus's body, which doesn't really happen, so I'm not sure why this is talking about that. That would break the pattern of the ceremony and likely make it impossible for the magus to record whatever the angel wanted to communicate. And it's also nonsensical. So, Talismans. A talisman is a physical object that an angel has energized with its unique form of divine energy. Just as the holy names have the power to summon angels, talismans engraved with divine names and correctly energized have magical power, right? So, such as these behind me, such as the metal ones that I've shown you guys that are in my tables of practice. So, what's the craziest Goetia experience you've had? What do you mean by craziest? Because I don't think it's not like what you're probably thinking. So, what do you mean by craziest? I'm not sure what that means. What are we reading? We are reading Angel Magic by Geoffrey by Geoffrey James. Geoffrey. I can believe I have magic powers. Yeah, sure. You can believe that. I can't stop you from believing it. You're free to believe as you will. So, in terms of results, how quick they manifested. Oh, well. Oh, you mean how quick the results manifested, not how quickly the spirit manifested. Okay. In terms of results, few weeks. I mean, nothing super. Nothing really overnight. I've never really had anything like I did a ritual, at midnight, and then at 8 a.m., the thing is happening. But within a couple weeks, few weeks, I would say. So, why can't you? Too slow? What do you mean? Why can't you? I said you can. You can believe you have magical powers. Sure. So, I'm not sure why you asked why can't you. I said you can. Go ahead. Believe that. Believe what you want. All right. There are two types of talismans in angel magic: protective and practical. Protective talismans are believed to keep the angel magus safe when conjuring angels whose power is difficult to control or particularly dangerous to human beings. Practical talismans and that's for demons, not traditional angels. I don't like that he's using angel for both traditional angels and fallen angels. Just use the word demon. Like I don't understand why he's doing that, because it makes it seem like angels are conjured that way, and they're not. Practical talismans are created by the angel magus to store a portion of the psychic energy of the angel so that it can be used at a later date. For example, an angel magus might engrave a pen with sigils sacred to the planet Mercury, then invoke a mercurial angel into the pen so that the magus will be inspired to write beautiful prose. Actually, something that people do. So I agree with that. The application of talismans is limited only by the imagination of the angel magus, and the grimoires spend a great deal of time explaining how to make them and use them. Not really. They actually don't. They just show you an image and go, here, make this. They don't tell you how to. They just go, here you go, boom, make it, and make it in gold. And they don't tell you, go grab a wood burning tool, or go grab a Dremel, or go grab a engraver. And, then they don't say any of that. It's just, here's the image, make this. And you're supposed to know how to do all that. And using them, they certainly don't do that. They just give them to you, right? Like the Key of Solomon is famous for that. It's just here. This is it. This is the Pentacle of Mars. Here you go. And you're like, okay, what do I do now? And the book's just like, I don't know. Here it is. And you're just like, so Sarah Mastros had to write a whole book on how to use them because it doesn't tell you how to use them. A set of planetary talismans never before published in the book. A set of planetary talismans never before published in book form in the United States is given in the appendix of this book. I can't wait to see that. We got to see that. Don't be rude. Yes, don't be rude, please. Hey, happy Monday. What's up, Ndichi? Oh, you're reading about angel magic? I'm studying this, very new to it. Well, you're in the right place. Lucifer fell from the heaven because he questioned God's wrath. The top tier sin, God said, bye bye. Figure out the formula yourself. I mean, pretty much what it is. Incense. Believed to give the angels something out of which to construct a temporary material form. I'm not sure where this came from. This E.A. Coetting, like those types of people say that. I don't know where that comes from. Incense was used either as classically as an offering, right? Not as a manifestation base, right? If you read the grimoires, they give you instructions for the consecration of the incense. So it's not for a manifestation base. It's to be used as an offering, or it's to a certain sense please the spirits or offend them, right? Like asafoetida offends most spirits. So it's a good thing to use to. I mean, it stinks, so you're going to be offended too. But it's a good scent to exercise spirits with, and then there are scents to attract spirits with. It's not used as a manifestation base. I've heard people like E.A. Coetting say you can use like a shit ton of incense, like copal incense, because that produces the most amount of smoke. Like naturally, it produces a lot of smoke, and it does. So if you have like 3 or 4 incense braziers going with copal, you can essentially smoke out a room, and it's in that smoke that the spirits can appear and all that. It's like, what? How? Angel magic is a set of rituals by which a human can obtain a vision of an angelic being. Over the years, angel magic has acquired a complex array of ideas and symbols drawn from astrology, alchemy, theology, and even modern psychology. The growth and transformation of angel magic over the centuries is one of the most interesting developments in the history of human thought. Here, for the first time, is the complete story. Why does that sound like the opening to like a documentary or something like that? Like some, I don't know, like some Apple Plus sort of true crime story or something. All right, we're in chapter 2 now. The source of angel magic. The source of angel magic. There's always been a great deal of controversy surrounding the origins of angel magic. Not really. It comes from the Chaldeans, and that's really about it. But I'm curious to see where this says it comes from. Because it existed outside of the accepted teaching of the Christian church, there are not as many historical references as we would like. That's not true. Dating individual manuscripts and angel magic rituals is as much a matter of intuition as it is of evidence. Yeah, we know that that's not true. We've seen extreme scholarship on the grimoires and the dating of them. We've got the Grimoire Encyclopedia, which gives nothing but descriptions and dates and the actual authors of a lot of these texts. So, the angel magi of the Renaissance believed that angel magic was amongst the oldest forms of worship known to mankind. I'm not sure where they're getting that. To quote the reputed Renaissance angel magician Paracelsus, he was not an angel magician. Conjurations had their original spring and fountain from Babylon, and there did mightily increase and flourish. Afterwards, it came into Egypt, and from there to the Israelites, and last of all to us Christians. That's conjurations in general, not specifically angels. So that's interesting. But Paracelsus, for those of you who don't know, because a lot of people think he was ancient. Like that name usually comes up with like Plato and all them. He wasn't ancient. He was Renaissance. And he was the teacher of Trithemius. And Paracelsus was under Trithemius. And then so was Agrippa. So Yeah. Uh, where did I leave off? Egypt. Oh, right there. When scholars and occultists started publishing the grimoires at the end of the 19th century, what? What about Bibliothèque Bleue in the 18th century? What? what about the Greek magical papyri? Right, from like the third century, the fourth century. What about the Key of Solomon in the 17th century? What about the Virum in the 16th century? What? Like, what about Trithemius, who we just mentioned, who published The Art of Drawing Spirits into Crystals, the Steganographia? What? What about Agrippa? What about Roger Bacon? What about Reginald Scott? What? What? What is this? Where are you getting your information, sir? Another example of how we can tell that this is someone who just recently dove into the grimoires, right? They just recently started reading about the Key of Solomon, and they just started recently reading about, like, it seems like this guy doesn't even know about the vast majority of the grimoires. Now, granted, the scholarship that we have available today wasn't available in the 90s when this book came out, but oh wait, no, I think this is what page are we on? 23. Is it this book or the angiology book? No, okay, I was right. It is this book, 1997. So then the angiology book is the recent one. Okay, so I was right. This came out in the 90s. I was right. Okay, so even though here we go. All right. Even though the scholarship that we have today wasn't available back then, the sources that the scholarship of today got that information from has been available since it was written down centuries ago. You just gotta go and get it. And clearly, Geoffrey James didn't know where to go and get it. He didn't have the benefit of the Grimoire Encyclopedia, which you can just open it to any random page and it'll tell you whatever random grimoire was written in this time period by these people, and we know that because of these things. Plenty of grimoire, plenty. Actually, the vast majority of grimoires were printed before the 19th century. I would argue the 19th century is when they became popular. Sure, thank you Crowley, thank you Mathers, right? But that's not when they were published. The Key of Solomon existed centuries before Crowley got his hands on it. The Goetia existed centuries, like in published form, not just one guy the guy who wrote it had it, and then it took Crowley to find it. Not, like published around, it was passed around, book form. So, not sure where they got that. Erica Kirk is 8 weeks pregnant. Is she carrying Jesus? What? Why would she be Why would she be carrying Jesus? Her husband got 10 weeks ago. Oh, got 10 weeks ago. Okay. What does that have to do with anything? Agrippa. Yes, Agrippa too. Yes. Trithemius has quite a few inventions we all know but don't recognize as his work. Yeah, that it's there's a lot that the world won't give to occultists because they are occultists. So, didn't decode the Voyage thing? What do you mean? What do you mean? The Voyage manuscript? Is that what you're talking about? But who didn't decode it? What are you talking about? Do you practice magic? Yes, I am an occultist. Yes, I do. All right, so this is the problem with writing books when you really don't know, like you're just swimming at the surface of all this, like yeah. But anyway, Some of them accepted the traditional dating. When McGregor Mathers published his translation of the Key of Solomon, he attributed the work to Solomon himself. While this may not have been intended to be taken seriously, Mathers clearly believed that the rituals in their original form must be very old indeed. Well, they are old. They're just not from King Solomon. Another student of angel magic, Arthur Edward Waite, responded in his book of ceremonial magic that the medieval rituals were obviously modern in presentation. He thought it highly unlikely that the rituals inside the grimoires could be as old as Mathers believed them to be. They weren't that old. They're not as old as King Solomon. But they're not like they're not as new as Waite is trying to say that they are. And then I guess this is a diagram. Modern angel magic, fairy magic dies out in the early 20th century. Not thank God, but most fairy magic from the grimoires. We're not talking about Celtic fairy magic. We're talking about from the grimoires is Elizabethan, and I don't like Elizabethan. It just feels weird. I don't know. It's very. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's too Protestant for me. I don't know. But thank God that died out. And then Renaissance angel magic, the golden age of angel magic includes Agrippan and Enochian angel magic. Okay. Medieval angel magic, the Christianization of the grimoires, clerical experimentation with angel magic, Islamic angel magic, Dark Age angel magic, Gnostic angel magic. Oh, okay, so he does mention the Chaldeans. They're right there. Okay. Good. Prototype grimoires based upon the Kabbalah. That doesn't make any sense. That does not make any sense. And then primitive beliefs and the control of spirits. Okay, so I would agree with this timeline with the exception of this area right here. Prototype grimoires based upon the Kabbalah. Kabbalah is new, so. But, yeah, AI. What are you talking about? And primarily of color. What do you mean primarily of color? Should I do the operation of the moon exactly as the Pika trick instructs? Well, I'm not familiar with that ritual specifically. I don't remember it from the Pika tricks. So you'd have to remind me, but probably not. The Pika tricks is full of very interesting rituals. So I'm going to say probably not, but I don't remember that ritual specifically. Time is cyclical. You got magic powers? No, you do. What grimoire do you find effective in your own life and how so? The Black Dragon. It's gotten me to where I am in my career and stuff like that. Fine to white. What? What's activation condition? I have no idea. When was that mentioned? Activation condition? I'm not sure. Twist all the node not on center by 90 degrees. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Is that some astrological reference? How would you rate the angel books from the Gallery of Magic? Honestly, not good. Very low level chaosophic sigil magic, it seems to be, from the Gallery of Magic. Very, very kindergarten. Like if I was going to teach, like a first grader or something like that, how to start out with magic, here's your first spell as a kid, then maybe, I'd show them the Gallery of Magic stuff. Here's your first spell as a kid, then maybe, I'd show them the Gallery of Magic stuff. What the hell? Am I back? I think I disconnected for a minute. Am I back? Am I back? Am I back? I think I'm back. What system is the Black Dragon from or influenced by? It's a grimoire. So it's influenced by grimoire. Influenced by? It's a grimoire. So it's influenced by grimoire tradition. So Judaism and Christianity is its magical foundations. It's a grimoire. This is not beginner. No, this stuff is not for beginners. I don't think any spirit work is really beginner friendly. But all right, continuing. The truth lies in between. Certain elements of the angel magic rituals are clearly quite old, and some elements might even date from Egyptian angel magic over 3,000 years ago. I would say there are some demon rituals or evocations. I don't like. Again, I don't like that he's using angel to correspond to both angels and demons. But for demons, there are rituals in like the Greek magical papyri that I would say are very similar to a lot of what we find in modern grimoires or Renaissance grimoires, but not for angels. I don't. No, not for angels. On the other hand, the form and structure of the grimoires are clearly medieval. The rituals were collected and edited and amended by medieval clerics, and they reflect the scholarly thinking of men at that time. The true heritage of angel magic is shown in Figure 4. Oh, was that this up here? Is that what this is? Yeah. This is that. Okay. Chaldean angel magic. This is where it comes from. This is the beginning of how we understand angels. How has the grimoire tradition changed over time following that previous timeline? It hasn't really changed. It's pretty clear. So all of this is proto grimoires. This says prototype grimoires based upon the Kabbalah, but that's not true. It's based upon Egyptian and Sumerian magic, not Kabbalah. So this here, this here, this here, this here, this here, this here, this here were pre-grimoires. The grimoires didn't start until here, and they've largely remained the same since. But if you're interested in that more, come back tomorrow when we do our reading of Techniques of Solomonic Magic, and we go over the history of the grimoires and stuff in that book. I hold my dream grimoire as a reflection of myself. Interesting. I got a Saint Gabriel statue and a candle to help me work the sphere of the moon. Well, good. I would also recommend not only using the Gabriel statue, I would get his sigil, which is this sigil here for Gabriel. This one here. For Gabriel, I would get his sigil. You can see his name in the center there. And that should help. Okay. I don't know if it's just me, but stream is choppy. I didn't catch anything you said. Really? Is it try like scrolling out and then coming back in, like swiping up to the next stream and then coming back, and see if that fixes it. Is anyone else having choppy issues? It did cut out for a few seconds. Yeah, so earlier it did cut out for a few moments, but then it came back. So I thought it was back. Look at this. Thank you. You're welcome. Bro, what did you say? About what specifically? About grimoire tradition? In my hermetic practice, I pray to both the planet and its governing archangel. No or go? Go. Go. That's fine. It's back now. Oh, okay, okay. All I caught was proto grimoire and nothing else. So I was essentially saying that this. So you had asked how the grimoires have how grimoire tradition has changed based on this timeline here, and or at least based on the timeline. And I'm assuming you mean this timeline. And I was saying how this was all proto grimoires or before the grimoires. All of this. This is all before the grimoires, and the real proto grimoires are here from the Hebraic down. Um, the grimoire tradition didn't start until here. This is when the grimoire tradition started. In the Renaissance and medieval angel magic is when the grimoire tradition started. And it has remained largely the same since. Very little changes since it started. So, but all right. Chaldean angel magic. The earliest recorded angel magic rituals in existence today were composed in ancient Chaldea around 3000 BC and later recorded on stone tablets. As old as these incantations are, they contain many elements that are found in the medieval grimoires. The 7 gods of the vast heavens, that's these guys. The 7 gods of the great earth. The 7 gods of the igneous spheres. The 7 gods, these are the 7 gods. The 7 malevolent gods. The 7 malevolent phantoms. The 7 malevolent phantoms of the flames. In the heavens, 7 on the earth. 7, the wicked demon. The wicked Atol. The wicked Gigim, or Gaigim, or Gaijim, or Gijim, whatever. The wicked Tetal. The wicked god. The wicked Maskim. That's demons. I know that word. Maskim. Spirits of the heavens, conjure. Spirit of the earth, conjure. Spirit of Mulge, king of the countries, conjure. Spirit of Ningalal, lady of the countries, conjure. Spirit of Nindar, son of the zenith, conjure. Spirit of Tishku, lady of the countries, which shines in the night, conjure. Lines 1 through 3 describe the gods, or the angels of the planets, that's them, who live in the vast heavens, rule the great earth, and are the gods of the igneous spheres, or the celestial spheres. That there are only 7 gods and not 21 is shown by the summary in line 4. These are the 7 gods. Lines 5 through 7 describe the 7 evil gods who in Chaldean mythology rebelled against the 7 planetary gods and fell to earth. Thus, in total, there are in the heavens 7 and on the earth 7. Right? So a reflection of the Christian fall. Right? Lines 8 and 9 give the names of the 4 most powerful of the 7 evil gods. Alal, Gigim, Tetal, and Maskim. Lines 10 through 15 give the divine names of the planetary angels, Mulge, Ningalal, Nindar, and Tishku, which represent the sun, the moon, Jupiter, and Venus, respectively. Despite the age of this incantation, it possesses many of the characteristics of the conjurations in ritual systems of a much later date. First, the angels are associated with the planets, just as in the medieval grimoires. Second, we see the appearance of the belief that the divine names of higher angels give control over lesser angels. And this is an angel from Chaldean lore. This is what they would look like. A lion, a winged lion. What is that called? A griffin? A Gryffindor? Something like that. Other cultures borrowed from Chaldean concepts, uniting them to their own mythology and theologies. The Egyptians also believed that angels, gods, could be controlled by invoking the powers of the names of the greater angels. They also believed that an angel magus could be exalted into near divine status through certain rituals and prayers. The Egyptians elevated priests and pharaohs above the native spirits, giving man a place in the hierarchy of the angels. Because a human could be an angel, it was believed that he could control lesser angels, much as a king could command lesser men. That's not true. Again, it's based on the divine authority. So it should read that because a human couldn't achieve divine authority, it was believed he could control lesser angels, much as a king could command lesser men. It doesn't make any sense that because a human could possibly become an angel, he can then control angels. Like, that doesn't, what? Pasta, glutamates. Gotcha. Where does 7 come in? I'm confused. Do you mean Y7? Y7? Well, because in classical numerology, I guess you'd want to call it, 7 is the number of completion. I believe this is also reflected in like the Christian motifs and everything. 7 is the number of completion. But that's why. So, reminds me of old Catholicism with the Pope. The number 7 does? Or what? Or the controlling of angels? Or... No, that's exactly what that says. I can control angels. What? Controlling, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I would state that if the Pope had the proper ritual and materia, he wouldn't have any issues conjuring an angel. Assuming the Pope and Catholicism has legitimate apostolic succession, I would assume he would have divine authority already instilled within him due to that, and would be able to summon an angel. It was the Egyptians who began the use of mysterious magical names as part of their angel magic prayers. That is true. This can be seen in the following excerpt from an Egyptian papyrus. Take a clean linen bag and write upon it the names given below. Fold it up and make it into a lamp wick and set it alight, pouring pure oil over it. The word to be written is this: Army Youth, Lelam Kuch, Arsenofrenfren, Ta Arkentekkinta. I think this is from the Greek Magical Papyri, because I remember this name, Arsenofrenfren. Yeah, this has to be the Greek Magical Papyri. Egyptian angel magic was connected to astrology and featured paraphernalia such as wands, incense, and sacrifices. The Egyptians believed that angels could appear in any number of different ways, and that is true. In a statue, or in an image, in a talisman, in a dream, in a trance, as a phantom or as a discarnate voice, in a human or animal body, possession, in a human or animal corpse, necromancy, that's not true, as an invisible or selectively invisible being. Egyptian angel magus. I don't believe this is an actual angel magician. And the reason I don't believe that is because this priest or this shaman or whatever is wearing a leopard skin, and that was strictly for specific rituals involving the blessing of the pharaoh, his wife, the children, dignitaries that were coming to visit. Before war, the pharaoh would be blessed so that way his troops can win and all this other stuff. I'd have to look at the actual source, but from what I know about leopard skin for priest garb in ancient Egypt, this would have just been the Pharaoh. This is not an angel. This is the Pharaoh. Also, we like we don't there's no indication of this being an angel. I don't know. Figure 6 shows what happened, or what appears to be an Egyptian angel magus invoking an angel into a statue. The magus is wearing some sort of animal skin. No, it's not some sort of animal skin. It's and holds a curved wand or a club. It's a leopard, and there's a specific reason for it. What? Did this guy just learn about angel magic? I think so. I really think so. Xmas party at the Vatican goes wrong. The Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. Did it say astrology though? And weren't it didn't it say astrology though? And weren't Egyptians huge on that? Yes, they were very big on astrology. And yes, this did mention astrology. Yes. But yeah, that doesn't mean that this is an angel. This is not an angel. This would have been the Pharaoh or some other important figure. All right. Several examples of angel magic have survived until modern times. One Egyptian papyrus gives a ritual of angel magic probably dating from earlier than 1000 BC. To receive a vision from Bes, well, Bes is an Egyptian goddess, not an angel. But we'll see where this goes. Make a drawing of Besa, as shown below, on your left hand, and envelop your left hand in a strip of black cloth around your neck. The ink with which you write must be composed of the blood of a cow, the blood of a white dove, fresh frankincense, myrrh, black writing ink, cinnabar, mulberry juice, rainwater, and the juice of wormwood and vetch. With this, write your petition before the setting sun, saying, "Send the truthful seer out of the holy shrine. I beseech thee, Lampsuer, Sumarta, Baribas, Dardalam, Eorlex. O Lord, send the sacred deity Anuth, Salbana, Shambra, Braith. Now, quickly, come this very night." This is not an angel. This is a deity. This is a goddess. Bes is an Egyptian goddess. And then it says, "O Lord, send the sacred deity." Where is the angel? I don't get it. Once again, we see elements of angel magic that appear in medieval grimoires. I would say we see elements of just magic. The drawing of an image on the hand is immediately suggestive of angelic talismans contained in the grimoires. Not really, because you don't draw them on your hand. That's weird. And the god Besa, a bestial dwarf, is similar in form to the medieval description of falling angels. I don't know of any dwarf fallen angel. Incense, herbs, and ink made from animal blood are also mentioned in the medieval grimoires. Egyptian angel magic had to be worked at specific times of the day, similar to the restrictions described in the grimoires. Furthermore, the magical names in the Egyptian ritual closely resemble the Kabbalistic names included in the grimoire. No, they don't. All right. Celestial bodies equals angels. It can. Not all celestial bodies would have an angel attached, but yes. The main 7 do. But yes. He's recasting Egyptian gods as archangels. I don't know. He seems to be like any being. He seems to be considering an angel. I don't. He calls demons angels. Angels are angels. Fairies are angels. It's all. I don't know. So here we have clear evidence that angel magic, in the form it was practiced in the Renaissance, has deep roots in the religious practices of ancient Egypt. I would just say magic from the Renaissance has roots deep in religious practices of ancient Egypt, not just angel magic. Medieval angel. Hebraic angel magic. The ancient Hebrews picked up where the Egyptians left off, formalizing and improving, the practice of angel magic, mixing in elements of the Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. Much of the Hebraic legends about angel magic is tied to various stories about King Solomon, who was reputed to have commanded angels to do his mighty will. In the Book of Wisdom, a Gnostic text attributed to Solomon, we find the following description of Solomon's angel magic. Wielding the weapons of his sacred office, prayer and atoning incense, not by physical strength, not by force of arms, but by word, he prevailed over the Punisher, avenging angel, the Punisher, which is the avenging angel, by recalling the weapons of his sacred office, prayer and atoning incense, not by physical strength, not by force of arms, but by word he prevailed over the Punisher, avenging angel. That's just the same thing said over again. By recalling the oaths made to the fathers, the whole world was on his flowing robe, the glorious names of the fathers on the 4 rows of stones, and your majesty, Yod-He-Vah-He, on the diadem on his head. Interesting. This passage suggests a well-defined system of ritual angel magic, which included sacred weapons, prayers, oaths, and incantations, a robe embroidered with arcane symbols meant to represent the universe, and a crown with Yod-He-Vah-He written upon it. All of these elements are presented in the medieval grimoires. Well, first of all, the text that they get this from is Gnostic, which means it's not Hebraic. It's probably Greek or Egyptian, if anything. And so I wouldn't take that as evidence of Hebraic anything. Where did I leave off? Oh, the grimoire, known as the Key of Solomon, for example, includes magical weaponry, and its incantations and conjurations tell of the oaths made to the Hebrew fathers. That is true. The garments in the key include a robe embroidered with arcane symbols and a paper crown with Yod-He-Vah-He written on the front. Hebraic angel magic talismans were constructed of metal and often combined with herbs or leaves. In this passage from Josephus, a Jewish historian of the 1st century A.D., who is one of the people that classical or modern day Christians take as proof that Jesus existed, because Josephus mentioned him, and he would have existed shortly after Jesus would have passed. So he would have had contact with people who would have been in direct contact with Jesus. So. Because note, the 1st century starts literally the year after Jesus died. So it could be 10 years after he died, and that would be considered within the 1st century. So, Solomon, oh wait, did I skip something? Yeah, I think I skipped that. In this passage from Josephus, a Jewish historian, we find a curious combination of folk herbology and angel magic. He did put unto the nose of the possessed a ring, under the scale whereof was enclosed a kind of root, whose virtue Solomon declared, and the savor thereof drew the devil out at his nose, and so as down fell the man, Eleazar, the mage, made mention of Solomon, reciting conjurations of Solomon's own making. Solomon was not the only Hebrew sage believed to have practiced angel magic. A 4th century manuscript known as the Sword of Moses, wow, I'm surprised he knows of that book, contains a brief description of an angel magic ritual attributed to Moses. To conjure a spirit, write on a laurel leaf, I conjure the prince, whose name is Abrakis. In the name of that Hebrew name, that thou comest to me and revealest all that I ask of thee, and thou shalt not tarry. The ancient Hebrews maintained that if a man knew the secret name of Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, he would be able to work miracles otherwise reserved for Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh himself. A section of the conjurations in the Sword of Moses illustrates the similarity of Hebraic magic to the incantations of the Chaldeans. And it states, "My wish be fulfilled, and my word hearkened unto, and my prayer received through the conjuration with the ineffable name of God, which is glorified in the world, through which all the heavenly hosts are tied and bound. I conjure you that you should not refuse me, nor hurt me, nor frighten and alarm me, in the tremendous name of your King, the terror of whom rests upon you." The lesser and greater keys plus his wisdom book things. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You don't know what? The Hebrews probably inherited the belief in angel magic from their Egyptian overlords. Probably. That's not good enough. They did inherit it. They inherited it from the Egyptians. They inherited it from the Greeks. They inherited it from the Chaldeans and the Sumerians and the Phoenicians and the Akkadians and pretty much everyone that was around them. Because that's how history works. That's how people work. The magical powers attributed to Moses and Aaron in the Bible suggest that the interest of the Jews in magic probably began during the period of captivity. The necromancy of the Witch of Endor, too, indicates a belief in the power of people to conjure supernatural beings. The development of Hebraic angel magic is linked to the development of the Kabbalah. No, it's not. The Hebrews transformed the magical incantations of the Egyptian rituals into a complex numerology and into a belief that God was manifested as a word. By knowing the secret names of God, a magus could control the spirits and angels that served him. There are many similarities between the medieval grimoires and the much older text of the Sword of Moses. The comparison is a particularly interesting one because the Sword of Moses, unlike the grimoires, was not transmitted into Europe during the Dark Ages, but instead survived in Syria in its original form. So you know all of this. You know about the transmission from Egypt and Greece into Europe, which we're talking about on Tuesday nights, but you're not aware of, like, pretty much the history of the grimoires themselves. You thought that they got, or you seem to think that they got published in the 19th century, when you just mentioned several that were published prior to that, such as the Key of Solomon, the Sword of Moses. I don't understand. Both the key and the sword are attributed to the Jewish sages who were revered as magicians. Both open their texts with descriptions of the death of the author, with the process by which the magical system was preserved. The preparatory rituals of the key and the sword are almost identical. Yeah, well, hold on. Because I don't know if the sword would be counted. Let me see something. Okay, so the sword is counted. And the sword... So, when did he say this comes from? The 4th century? Did he say? Yeah. A 4th century AD manuscript known as the Sword of Moses is what this says. Now, we're going to go and look at actual scholarship. We're going to look at the Grimoire Encyclopedia by David Rankine. And the Sword of Moses, Harba de Moshe, circa 8 to 10. Centuries 8 through 10. A whole 400 years after what this guy is saying. is when the Sword of Moses was published. And do we know? So parts of the Sword of Moses also appear in the Cairo Genzaya, the Sefer Shosham Yesod Haloham, and I don't even know how to say that, so I'm not even going to try. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to say that. But that's probably why it resembles a lot of other grimoires. But do we have an author here? I'm not going to read all this. There's like a lot. Okay, but we don't know who wrote it. All right, it doesn't seem like there's an author here. Well, it was first published in 1896 by Moses Gaster. But we don't have an original author. Well, definitely not 4th century. Oh. Definitely not 4th century. This is, granted, this was in the 90s. Yes, it was in the 90s. But I mean, it seems like he's getting there, but he decided to write the book before he got there. It seems like he dove into the grimoires and the study and the history of it, and he learned something. He learned some things, but instead of continuing to study and learn more and more, he just was like, oh, well, this is probably more than most people know, so I'll just use this and just write that. And no one will ever know. And he probably, I mean, he got away with it for 2 decades, 3 decades almost. So, but yeah, this is insane. Como non y Anglesia. The Spanish Bible predates the English one. Okay. You need to learn Latin. I know Latin, at least a bit of Latin. But why do I need to learn Latin? Pokes. What's up, all-consuming fire? He was multilinguistic. Who was multilinguistic? Who are you talking about? All right. Where did I leave off? I think right here. Both open their texts with a description of the death of the author and with the process by which the magical system was preserved. The preparatory rituals of the Key of Solomon and the sword are almost identical. From the sword, the man who decides to use it must first free himself 3 days previously from accidental pollution and from everything unclean, eat and drink once every evening, and must eat the bread from a pure man, and or wash his hands in salt, and drink the water, pray 3 times daily, and after each prayer recite the following blessing. Blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, King of the universe. From the key, during the last 3 days before the commencement of this action, thou shalt content thyself with only eating fasting diet, and that only once in a day, and it will be better still if thou partakest of bread and water. Thou shalt also abstain from every impure thing, reciting the prayer above written. The prayer in question, like the one in the sword, begins, O Lord God, the Father eternal. The one in the sword doesn't begin that way. But most grimoires have this sort of thing because they come from a tradition, right? They come from a tradition, and when things come from a tradition, they look the same. They have similar elements to it. That's what makes it a tradition. It wouldn't be a tradition if only one book did it and every other book did whatever they wanted. That's not a tradition. A tradition remains the same as it goes on. Maybe there are variations, but it's slight, and you can look at it and tell, oh, this came from the thing that came before, right? That's what a tradition is. Yeah, it just seems that like this author legitimately studied it, but stopped at like still at the beginner level, like maybe partway through like the beginner lessons, and was just like, all right, I'll just write the book now. And yeah. So fasting, yes, fasting. What book is this? This is interesting. This is Angel Magic by Geoffrey James. At this point, just do an occult book review series. I have a few book reviews in my Getting Started playlist. I've got a few book reviews. But it's not like, it's probably not the kind of review you're thinking of. Like, I don't sit there and give like a full review. It's several books in one video. So, you know, it's just a few seconds per book. Mine are meant to be burnt when I pass. Your what? Your books? So do I have to be part of the Patreon to be able to join the Discord? No. You can join the Discord right now. I don't know if you'll be able to copy and paste, but let's see if it'll let me put it in the chat. Okay, there you go. You can put that in the chat. Honest to God, what you just read. What do you mean? Explain something supernatural that happened to me when I was younger. Oh, okay. Really? Interesting. I wonder what that was. All right. We still got about 10 minutes left. So let's continue. How much, what page is this? We're on page 34. All right. How far do we got? Ooh, magic squares. All right. We can, we got 10 minutes. I don't know if we'll be able to finish it then. So we'll probably just get to Gnostic Angel Magic. We'll probably stop there at Gnostic Angel Magic. We'll probably stop here. Okay. The sword mentions a seal written on a laurel leaf, which is used for conjuring a spirit, an element similar to the seals in the key. Both books use herbs and charms to procure magical effects. Both deal with the conjuring of angels and devils. This is logical because, according to Hebrew mythology, both good and evil angels are subservient to God. Through the power of the magician's incantations, which contain the sacred names of God, the magician can control good and evil spirits. Okay, now he's starting to explain it properly. Or perform either benign or malevolent deeds through his magic. Okay, so it's God that gives you that power, not the angel names or any of the other stuff he was saying earlier. It is God, the being over those beings, that give you the ability to control, constrain demons. Cool. Thanks for the link. You're welcome. Also, check out the link in my bio. And check out my YouTube. Check out my Patreon. Check out my Skool community. Check out my website. Let's see here. Other grimoires, such as the Sefer Raziel and the Lemageddon, also contain elements of great antiquity. However, their texts have been confused with later additions. Portions of the Sefer Raziel may be as old as the Key of Solomon. The Lemageddon, however, has undergone a vast Christianization. So, see, this is what I mean. Like, he knows some of the history, but then like he like doesn't know some of the history. It's like so weird. It's like he only went so far in his study and then just stopped and was like, all right, I'm not going to go any further than this. Or I'll go further, but I'm not going to include any of that in the book or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. That's you, bro. What do you mean that's me? What do you mean? Long story short, I was protected from people walking up on my car while I was sleeping in it. Oh, wow. Dang. Well, I'm glad you survived that. That's wild. Um, Despite this, certain seals of the Goetia, which is the first section of the Lemmageddon, resemble the inscriptions on ancient monuments, suggesting that the antiquity of the Lemmageddon is far greater than has generally been assumed. And then we've got the Setor Aripo Tenet Opera Rotas, which says it, every way you try to write it. Setor Aripo Tenet Opera Rotas, Setor Aripo Tenet Opera Rotas, Setor Aripo Tenet Opera Rotas, Setor Aripo Tenet Opera Rotas. Up, down, left, right, it says the same thing. This is a magic square. Ooh. And by protected, I mean a voice loud as you talking to me spoke to me and called out to me in my sleep. Oh, wow. You were talking about that thing above the angels. That's you. The thing above the angels is me? What? What do you mean? There's an occultist black there's an occultist black magician on here that said spiritual protections are not necessary. Curious to know your thoughts on that. In general, for the average person, probably not. I mean, if you're walking through your life and you're not really dealing with witches or occultists or anything like that, then probably not. If you do have people in your life that deal with magic or the occult, even if you consider them friends, it might be a good idea to be familiar with those sort of things. But the average person who's not really, you don't have anybody in your life that is into the occult, there's probably no reason for you. I mean, you're probably not getting randomly cursed. So for the average person, probably not. But for the occultist, yeah, you definitely should. You definitely should. And if you're going to be working with spirits and stuff like that, especially malevolent spirits, it would be a good idea to have some sort of protection. Yep. Okay. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but okay. And this was like at 4 a.m. too. I got to learn more about this. Yeah. Check out the link in my bio. Consider joining my Skool community. It's a brand new community that I just set up about a month ago where I'm going to be doing courses and lessons on occultism. 3 of the courses are out now. A new course is coming out soon, the spellcasting course. The scrying, the aura reading, and the animal communication courses are all out now. And the spellcasting course will be coming out soon. Plus, I was raised heavily spiritual in Christianity, so I've always been prayed over. Oh, okay. That's the thing. Essentially, he said people create these conditions and that you can become immune to. You can become immune to the things that you create, sure, but you cannot become immune to something that someone else has done, especially someone that has more training and more practice and experience than you. Yeah, that's a ridiculous notion. So then he said he engaged in a bunch of what? But when that happened, I was in a highly fasted state too. Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. Uh, he was in a bunch of spiritual warfare, as he called it. So then what's he talking about? He's in a bunch of spiritual warfare, but he doesn't need protection. He's lying. He's so powerful. He's so great. He can't be cursed. He can't be touched. Like, stop it. Like, this is ridiculous. Anybody can get got. Anybody can get touched. Bro, they got to a president. They got to 2 presidents. Almost got to a 3rd. Anybody can get got. So, what's he talking about? But all right, let's continue so we can finish out and end on the Gnostic angels. Another ancient item from angel magic is the Sator Rotas magical square shown, or just I've never heard it called that. I've heard the Sator square, it's just called the Sator square. I've never heard Sator Rotas. I just heard Sator. The Sator square, shown in Figure 7. The earliest example of this acrostic can be found on the wall in Herculaneum, one of the cities destroyed by Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. Underneath the square was an inscription to the god Saturn. The Key of Solomon contains a talisman sacred to the planet Saturn, which is built around the Sator square. This magic square might originally have been Hebrew. One of the later grimoires, The Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage, gives a variation upon the Hebrew word shown in Figure 8. And this is the Hebrew. Salom, Aripo, Lamel, Opera, Molas. These similarities suggest that the medieval grimoires share their origins with texts like the Sword of Moses. Despite the errors of translations and of translators and copyists and the editorial additions from a later date, we have a case where the essential elements of some very old magical ceremonies have survived into comparatively modern times. All right, and that's page 36. All right, we're going to go ahead and end the reading there. So we stopped on page 36 at Gnostic angel magic. All right. Put that down there. All right. So we're going to go ahead and stop there, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out. This was pretty cool. He is mentoring folks on this stuff, and apparently he is going through Clipart. Yeah, well, I don't believe that, but if that's what he wants to do, and if people want to believe him, then more power to them. Godspeed. But yeah, he doesn't sound legit. It sounds like he's bullshitting. All the links are in your bio, you said? Yes, all the links are in my bio. And also consider checking out my Skool community, which is this community right here. It's brand new. We just started it this month. This month. Earlier this month, we started the Skool community. We've got 3 courses right here that are available right now. The scrying course, the Scryer's Apprentice, is available. Aura Mastery is available. And Wild Speak, the animal communication course, is available. And I will be adding a new course coming up shortly here, the spellcasting course. I'm working on that right now. And that should be coming up shortly. And this is the new Skool. So consider joining this. And this is the first link in my bio. So if you do the link in bio thing, click on that, and that should take you to my Skool. Interesting, because I was thinking about it, and I was like, if people don't need protection, why does every culture practice it? Yeah, see, you did that thing where they don't want you to do. You thought for yourself. You're asking questions. Hey, this doesn't make sense. Can you give me an answer? And rather than bullshitting you and giving you an answer, rather than just giving you an answer, he decides to bullshit. And that's how you can tell a guru from an actual mentor or an actual teacher, right? Do they openly accept questions, right? Like, can you openly because I notice oftentimes they don't really want you to ask questions, right? They'll say that they're open to questions, but really the only questions that they're open to is like, oh, well, what do you believe? And what is, who are your gods? But when you start actually asking foundational questions, kind of like what you just did, okay, so you're saying that you're going through this spiritual warfare and people are attacking you, but you don't need protection. So why did every culture in the history of ever practice protection, number one. And number two, that only leaves two options. If you're getting attacked, but you don't need protection, either the attacks are just too weak or you're super, super strong. Which one is it? And which one has the higher likelihood of being the correct answer? Both are possible. In an infinite universe, both are possible, but which one is most probable? Right? That's what I like to get. The one that's most probable. Anything is possible. What's most probable? So, yeah. Ask questions. Never be afraid. That's why I do what I do. That's why I do this, right? I sit here and I read through all the questions and I answer each and every one. Because I'm not a guru, right? You're supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to want to progress in your spiritual path. And whomever is mentoring you or guiding you or teaching you should want you to progress, even if it means progressing beyond them. But most gurus don't want that. They never want you to move beyond them or to move away from them. Maybe you decide that path is not for you, so now you want to go somewhere else. No. Keep paying me $10 a month. Keep paying me, or whatever it is. Keep paying me, and blah, blah. Well, maybe this isn't for me. A real teacher would say, well, hey, listen, if it's not for you, that's okay. You learned a lot while you were over here, and you can take that, and when you go to your next thing, if you go to a next thing, maybe you decide magic isn't for you at all. Fine. But assuming you go to another thing, you can take what you learned over here, over there. Good luck. Right? That's what a real teacher would do. Not try to convince you to stay, insult you, That's what you find gurus doing. It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, there's folks out here that mention it's all placebo and you could protect yourself with bacon. Try that. Do an experiment. Have someone that you know is a legitimate practitioner, have them curse you and don't have any protection. Use bacon and record your findings. Write down what you discover. You can actually prove or disprove magic through the doing of it. Success be thy proof. As long as you believe, well, it's so new age. Yeah, that's a very new age saying. The funny thing called money influencing. That funny thing called money influencing things again. Exactly. I know magic is real. Well, good. So then protection is needed. Again, if you're just some random person, you're not dealing with any of this, no one you know does any form of magic, you're not making content online that would piss anybody off, so you don't really have to worry about, making anybody mad or whatever, and, people throwing curses at you or whatever, you probably don't need protection. But if you're in the occult space or anything like that, I would recommend it. So, glad I caught this live right on time. Yes, indeed. Thank you for being here. You're one of the few legit dudes on here. Thank you. I try. Somebody has to do it. How do you protect against ESP abilities? The same you would protect against any ability. You can just do shielding and warding. Just shield yourself, ward yourself. As I was saying, I don't think you were on the stream earlier, but someone asked about protecting earlier. Shielding and warding, witch bottles, asking your spirits to offer protection, which is infinitely stronger than anything that you could do yourself, are all good options. Genuine is, your brother was genuine, I can tell. Well, thank you very much. I try my best, I do my best, and I've got no reason to lie. All right. It's after 11. I got work in the morning, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for hanging out with me for the last couple of hours. And for those of you who were here earlier today for the stream earlier, thank you for coming back and doing the reading with us. We will pick up with the Gnostic Angel Magic next week, next Monday. If you're interested in all this stuff, come back tomorrow night Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be diving back into Techniques of Solomonic Magic, this book here. We will be diving back into Techniques of Solomonic Magic. We mentioned the Key of Solomon a little bit tonight. We'll be diving into that sort of a thing as we have been over the last few weeks deeply tomorrow night. So if you're interested in King Solomon and his magic and the summoning of demons instead of angels and all that, come back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will be continuing our study and elucidation on Techniques of Solomonic Magic. But I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all. Thank you, Issa, for your moderation services. I appreciate each and every one of you. Check out the links that are in my bio. Consider joining my Skool community, and I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, seek the mysteries. Peace.